Hey everybody, my name is John Lynch and I'm doing 365 days of alternate day fasting, and today is day 109. Now, it feels pretty great for me. Obviously, in order to get to 365 days of fasting, it was always on the cards to hit 109, but it feels great to get here. I figured out something pretty big this week. Without consciously realizing it, I've been becoming increasingly dissatisfied with my fast. Now, that's something that's just snuck up on me. It's happened slowly over time. This all started because my weight loss has seemed a bit slow to me, and so I've been on edge about whether my fast is really working well or not. I keep questioning whether I'm still losing weight. Even though my weight loss has averaged about 10 pounds a month, I still have been spending a lot of time thinking, sure, but is it still working? Is it working now? What about now? It's crazy. So in earlier videos, I talked about planning my fast. I think it's so important. Thinking of things that might derail my progress and planning on how to deal with it in advance before it happens. And this is something that I actually did before I started my fast. I made a plan. So what did I miss in my plan? Not losing enough weight and having plateaus was just something that I never even considered before I started to do this. It never occurred to me that I could cut out every other day of eating and not just lose a ton of weight. And so because of that, it never occurred to me to plan for it ahead of time. Instead, what's been happening is that I've been dissatisfied and then I make small changes, little adjustments, little tweaks here and there, which doesn't seem crazy. That seems like a good way to deal with the problem. But the issue is that once I started adding all sorts of tweaks, then my fasting plan went from being a really simple one to surprisingly complex. And this all happened without me even consciously realizing it. Think about it. Initially, my plan was don't eat for a full day, followed by a day where I could eat whatever I wanted. In order to try and get a better weight loss result, I'm now trying to do low carb through the morning. I cut off eating in the evening at 10 p.m. And over the last little while, I've been second guessing my food throughout the day. Maybe I should have a smaller lunch, or maybe I shouldn't have a second Frappuccino, or maybe I shouldn't be having a piece of chocolate. All these little tweaks and concerns and self-questioning has turned into this mind prison for me. Here's a restriction, and now here's another little restriction, and here's another little restriction, and just like death by a thousand cuts, it felt like. At some point, they just added up. They just started to add up, and all of a sudden I was feeling imprisoned and really dissatisfied. And they didn't lessen my worry about whether this is working well enough or not. That's still a concern. So this week, I figured that out. I was so happy to have figured this out. I think the main issue is this haphazardly fixing the problem, one Band-Aid at a time. So the solution for me this week was to step back and look at the problem as if I was planning for this in advance, like as if I had thought of this beforehand, what I would have come up with. So simple question, what would I do if I was fasting and my weight loss was slow or inconsistent enough that I questioned whether it would continue to work? Now, the strength of my plan, the main pillar to it, is just how easy it is for me to continue with it. That it doesn't feel onerous to me. It's super powerful for me to be able to eat whatever I want on my eating days. Being able to do that is actually what makes it so easy to continue with. This is the release that makes it effortless to get through my fasting days. I just know, hey, tomorrow I can have whatever I want. The weight loss engine of my plan are my fasting periods, not my eating days. So guess what? I can always boost my weight loss by simply adding in more fasting days. I could easily add in 2 straight days of fasting each week. I'm sure I could even do like a week of fasting if it was necessary in order to drop my weight down. So there is always a way to accelerate it. That was the perspective that I got this week, and that was the perspective that I really needed. As soon as I realized that, it was like this huge weight just dropped off my shoulders. And I realized at that time just how burdened I'd been. I got this mental space that let me not obsess about what my immediate results were for weight loss. See, obviously I want to lose weight. That's the main reason I started this. And so I definitely want it to happen. But specifically for right now, at around day 109, that is not my main concern. My number one concern is being able to increase my energy levels throughout the fast. If I can get those jumped up, then that's the win. That's the main thing that would totally change my life. The second thing that I should be focusing on is also not losing weight. It's building up my strength, doing exercises to get stronger. That's something I really, really want at this point. So those are the areas that my brain should be at right now. And I still have a good 8 months left to do on this. I can get to month 8 or month 9 and I can really double down on days if I need to really boost things up. Probably what would happen as soon as I get to the point where I can have a consistent energy, these things will just naturally happen. And also if I'm not focusing on the weight, maybe it is dropping off and I'm just so focused that I'm being upset at the same time as it's happening. So this was my big revelation for the week, and it has gotten me back on track. That kind of sounds stupid to say because I haven't really been off track. I haven't missed any fasting days or anything, but still it's true. See, the actual breakdown of my fast, the not being able to continue with it, that's never going to be first step. The first step is always the mental breakdown, the point where it becomes too painful to continue with. Now, I wasn't on the edge of that. I wasn't a day away from stopping alternate day fasting or anything like that, but I was already creating pain for myself, inner angst, on a too regular basis. I was chipping away at the foundation of my fast, which is my mental strength, of how easy it is and how not painful it is. And so that's why I'm so really pleased with myself for having figured this out this week. I get to figure it out before it becomes a great problem. Just that realization, that little change of perspective, it made an immediate difference for me. It was so powerful for me to bring this problem that's been controlling me without me even realizing it into the front of my mind. Oh, and guess what? All those little tweaks that I was talking about that were burdening me, I haven't cut them out. It isn't that I have to drop them all and stop them. They actually had a use. The problem was how important the tweaks were. They couldn't be the critical part of my plan. Anything that becomes a critical part to my success then becomes something that I absolutely have to do, rather than just kind of an easy choice. I can either do it or not depending on how I feel in the day. So that's been my week. I actually feel really good. I feel my body is firming up. That's something I'm really noticing. I've added push-ups into my daily practice, my daily life. So I do a set of push-ups multiple times through the day to try to get some numbers in. Just something to become stronger, really. And I'm just trying to move more through the day. As my body feels better, I want to go along with it and support it. And there's something really enjoyable about having just a general different physicality, which will only improve as time goes on. I'm noticing through the week that more people are joining along with my journey and subscribing and commenting, and I really enjoy that. Thanks so much for that. If this is your bag and you haven't subscribed yet, then consider doing it. And if you like the video, add a like, and maybe some more people will be able to see it, which I'd really appreciate as well. And you made it to another end of the video. So thanks for coming along.